Right, so it's valve lapping time. I really just wanted to try and capture this, what we're actually doing here and what we're achieving. The seats closest to you now are the exhaust seats. So the exhaust valves are smaller than the inlet valves. And the reason I'm doing these first is because I'm waiting for the new inlet valves to turn up. I will go through a lap-in procedure for those as well. But I just wanted to clean up these seats and just show you quickly the before and the after results. Remember too that number 7 exhaust valve, which is this one here, was actually leaking slightly with that water test that I did, and also the compression test was down a little bit because of it. So it'll be interesting when we get to that valve, when we do that, whether it's actually bent or whether the seat just needs a bit of a clean up. Really important to keep your numbering as well, so each valve goes back in to where it came out. So this is the front where the camshafts are. Cylinder number 1, I've already done cylinder number 1. This is the front of the head. So obviously my next valve, this one here, will be going into position number 3. So let's have a look at that valve. So I wouldn't say that these valves are badly pitted, but you can see they do have a little bit of marking on the actual seat face. So that's what I'll be working on, just removing that, making sure that they seat really nicely. I'm just going through with some valve grinding paste. I've probably had this for 30 years or something. It has a coarse end, so I'm just going to go through and do a fairly quick coarse grind, and then I'll go through one more time with the fine end to do that. And here is just a bit of a close-up. So again, you can see it doesn't look badly pitted, but definitely maybe just a bit of carbon gum. So let's have a look at that when I've finished that valve. So here is after going through with the coarse, It's come up absolutely beautiful. Let's have a look at the valve. Again, I'd say that's a really nice first pass for course. We'll keep going through and cleaning those up. Okay, so right now the suction tool, this one here, is on valve number 7. So I just wanted to show you that seat. It definitely, you can see some wobble there. So potentially that valve is bent. Let's compare that to number 6. It's hard to not look at the suction pad because that's not going to be perfect, but just look at the valve itself. Let's go back. Yeah, I definitely see. If you look here and use this as a reference, you'll see there's a bit of a wobble there. Or is there? It's very hard to tell. I think what I'm going to do is actually look at this video back and see if I can see it on the video rather than try and catch. So I'm definitely going to call that bent, that one. I can definitely see it move away from the seat and then come back. So I think what I'll do is I have another head here. I'll pull some valves out of that and make sure I can find a better valve than this one. This head is off another complete engine that I bought. At the time, the owner told me it only had a stuck injector in number 1. Of course, when I got it home and started to investigate, it's actually got a valve that's broken off. It's caused some damage to the cylinder head, and it's caused a little bit of damage also to the piston. The rest of the engine looks actually okay. So I'm actually going to water test this one as well, obviously. Don't want to deal with other bent valves, so I'll try and find the best valves I can that I might be able to use in this other head. Okay, so each chamber is filled up with water. So it's got some water head or water pressure on it. And now I can take a close look at these. The other thing that you can look for is, notice the inlet valves obviously are very bent, but you can see the shiny section where it's actually contacted the piston. So you can look for the same thing on the exhaust valves. That there's number 4 that we're looking at, and you can see there's no shiny sections on it, and there's no water coming through on that one either. Number 3 also is sealing up okay. There's no water weeping out of that one. Number 2, same, there's no water weeping out of that one. Number 1, you can see we definitely have water weeping out of both of the exhaust valves. So I would definitely not be using those valves, but pretty much any of these others I think should be fine. So we'll go ahead and pull a couple of those out. All right, so check this out. I'm pretty happy with this. This is the valve that I pulled out of another head. So now if I put this on, turn it, that's definitely much truer than the other one was. So I'm really happy with that result. Let's just compare that to this one. Again, don't look at the suction cap, look at the actual valve edge. I think that looks good. And then of course we can look at this one as well. Number 8. So I'm really happy with that result. This one actually looks really good. You'll notice too that they're slightly different. So this one doesn't have the little dimple that the others have in them. I don't really know why these have that dimple and these don't. However, what's interesting is there are part numbers on these. Very, very difficult to see, but they're at the top of the collet here. I'll just rotate this and see if we can actually see the numbers. No, can't see them there. So look, if we put the magnifier in it. So the numbers, yeah, I mean, it's hard to see, but they are there. But what's interesting is that I think this valve that I've just put in is a genuine one, just by the look of the number, even though I don't get a hit when I search the number. I think these are genuine, and these have a different number that's much shorter that doesn't look like a Volkswagen number. So I think these have actually been done before, and that's why we've got that little etching on the head as well. So potentially this head has been done before. Who knows why they wouldn't have replaced the cam chain tensioner, but here it is, and here we are. So this is my rough cut of the coarse valve grinding paste. So you can see there's no pits there. There has been a little bit of pits, and I've been working on getting all of those out. And this is after I've finished on that course. Looks really nice. So here's an example of the pitting that I'm working at removing. It's probably pretty minor because obviously I'm zoomed in a long way here, but I figure it's not that difficult just to work on that a little bit more. Just trying to get that in focus a little bit better, but you can see that small amount of pitting there, and I will show you after I've given it another hit with the coarse paste. And here's that same valve after I've given it another couple of passes. So I can't see any of that pitting anymore. Really happy with how that's come up. And this is after I've gone with the fine paste. After doing my hand valve lapping job, I wanted a way to check for the sealing of the valve seats without having to fully reassemble, putting the, well, at least the springs and all the collets and everything back in. So I did a little bit of research, and I came across someone using a vacuum pump. Basically put a vacuum here, and your valves should seal with the vacuum, and do a test that way. So I made up a quick vacuum test. I have this vacuum pump. I put a little T-piece here on the line to a gauge, and then I just made this up out of a tin can, a way so that I could put that over the exhaust port. And to seal it, I found this nice silicone washer. I think it's from a toilet cistern, but it works really well. So I'll set this up and show you how that worked. So I'll go ahead and turn the vacuum pump on. So the test here, it's obviously not ideal, but if I create a full vacuum, I'm getting that, which is around, it's hovering basically around that 500 mark. That's actually a lot of vacuum on there. Wow. So if I then seal that on my port, I can see that I still don't have a seal, but seal up those, and I can see that's hovering around that 500 millimeters of mercury quite nicely. I can turn off that pump. It does leak down pretty quickly, I think that's actually probably the pump itself, because it's not really designed to hold that vacuum. And then when it gets to zero, it just pops off. So that was the test that I did for each of these ports. I really should have put a tap right here, and then I could have isolated the pump and check for vacuum holding. We don't actually have a lot of choice in Australia for aftermarket parts, and obviously genuine parts are very expensive. I at least opted for this Top Ram brand. I was quite unsure about it, but these are the valves that have come in, and this Top Ram labeling talks about a German company. I know that they're not made in Germany, and certainly all of the parts are not, but these valves are at least made in Italy, and they are the correct ones. They're fitting in. Here's the rest of the parts that I ordered as well. I was pretty happy with the full gasket kit from Victor Rines. Looks really good. And also the timing chain kit is a complete Top Ram kit as well. Comes with all the guides and the chain tensioner and the chains as well. It also comes with the gasket sealant as well. Comes in the gasket kit, which is great. I ordered the Permatex anaerobic sealant separately, but came in the same order. And the head bolts as well, again Victor Rines, and they are the 6-point Ribe head bolts as well. 2 valves inside one box, nicely sealed in oil resistant packaging. So all of the valves are in. Obviously, I would never just leave them like that. I'm going to hand lap in those as well. So that'll be a next little job.
I'm just putting some oil on the stem here. I can't do it.
That's how you clean a cylinder head.
Oh my gosh, you can put it in the dishwasher.
Yeah, look at that. We're just putting the new inlet valves into the head. So just a little bit of oil on the stem before putting it into the head. Going through the nice new valve stem seals. So we numbered all those 1 through to 8, 1 being the front, and they are all lapped and ready to go. So we can pop the exhaust ones in now and then put all the valve springs back on. That's it. See when they go together nicely. All good?
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect.
Did you get that?
Yeah, it was awesome. Please don't fall off. Yes.
Keep it tight. And then go back on here. Sweet.
Beautiful.
Done. Okay, just trying to clean all of the old anaerobic sealant out of all the grooves, ready to put this back on. I'm giving some of this, I've never actually used this kind of stuff before, but I'm giving this a try. And it definitely does eat it. It definitely dissolves it, so it makes it easier to remove. So I'm just going to give that a few hits. I've just scraped it, and the next one will be with a cloth, and we'll see how that comes up. Just giving all of these threads a clean out. I've just filled them up with some WD-40, get all the dust to collect to the liquid, and now just blowing them out. Then I'll go through, clean them out with some degreaser, and then I'll use some carby cleaner or some brake cleaner or something like that as well. Just going to go through with some degreaser in the bolt holes. And for the final pass, just some brake cleaner. I've already obviously cleaned off all the gasket material and any other imperfections, and I'm happy now to give that a good clean for oil and grease, and we're ready to put the head gasket on that after I think about exactly where I want the pistons to be.